A coincidence relates to a seeming remarkable string of events or circumstances that have no obvious connection with each other. When it comes to WWE, there have been several coincidences that seem too deliberate to be labelled as coincidences. But with WWE producing hours upon hours of TV each and every week, not everything can be planned out years in advance. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 other biggest coincidences in WWE. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 10. Triple H's pay-per-view matches in 2003. 2003 was a bizarre year for Triple H. A lot of the fan base was sick of him dominating the main event scene, and this was the year in which the quote-unquote reign of terror phrase was born. One of the craziest coincidences from this calendar year related to the game himself was for every pay-per-view match he competed in during the respective year, he would face at least one star from WCW. At the Royal Rumble and No Way Out events, he faced Scott Steiner. At WrestleMania 19, he collided with Booker T. At Backlash, he competed in a 6-man tag with his opponents including Booker T and Kevin Nash. For the next several pay-per-view events, the game would face Nash. This included a Hell in a Cell match at the Bad Blood event. At SummerSlam, Triple H would face off against a number of ex-WCW stars inside the Elimination Chamber, including Chris Jericho, Kevin Nash, and Goldberg. For the rest of 2003, the game would find himself in pay-per-view matches with Goldberg, culminating in a triple threat match at the Armageddon pay-per-view. Perhaps WWE wanted to crush WCW stars so bad that they had the game do the dirty work. Number 9. Edge's debut match. A WWE Hall of Famer, Edge had his first televised match for WWE in June of '98 against Jose Estrada Jr. The match wasn't the picture-perfect debut Edge wanted, as during the match Edge performed a somersault senton from the ring to the outside, legitimately breaking Estrada's neck. What's interesting about this debut match was that it was a similar injury that forced Edge to initially retire in 2011. Edge had severe neck problems, and this meant that Edge had to hang up his boots for the next 9 years. It's a weird coincidence, that's for sure. A bit of fun trivia from Edge's debut match is that the first move he would hit in the match would be a spear. This would obviously go on to become his iconic finishing move, but it's fascinating that Edge's first move in WWE was the move that was going to take him out. Number 8. Triple H's pedigree. The pedigree is one of the most popular finishing moves of all time. It was the perfect finisher for the game, and it's hard to imagine the multi-time world champion using any other finisher. Nevertheless, a crazy coincidence about the move itself is that it just so happens to look like a H. Yeah, when Triple H sets up the move, it perfectly resembles a letter. Was this deliberate, or was it a complete accident? We're going with a complete coincidence. Number 7. Paul Bearer's perfect profession. Paul Bearer is one of the most beloved managers of all time, and it's hard to imagine The Undertaker's character working so well without Bearer at his side. A mind-blowing fact about Bearer was that he was contacted by WWE to become The Undertaker's sinister manager. He was already a licensed mortician. In the late 70s, Bearer realized that he needed a backup in case his wrestling aspirations fell through. That's when Bearer obtained a degree in mortuary science from San Antonio College. There was no other individual that could have been selected to play The Undertaker's manager, and it was a true coincidence that Bearer happened to have the real-life credentials to deliver such an ominous persona. Number 6. The WrestleMania coincidence. WrestleMania events that come at the end of a decade-long run of WrestleManias are usually special. WrestleMania 10, 20, and 30 all felt huge, and they were felt even bigger than typical WrestleMania events. There's a crazy coincidence though when it comes to each of the 3 respective WrestleMania events, as WWE have opted to reward a popular babyface with the world title in the main event. This doesn't just relate to any popular babyfaces. The 3 babyfaces in question are all technical wrestlers who were well known for their in-ring work. The first instance of this is at WrestleMania 10. Here, Bret Hart overcame Yokozuna to capture the WWE title. Then at WrestleMania 20, Chris Benoit defeated Triple H and Shawn Michaels to win the world title. Finally, at WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan defeated Randy Orton and Batista to become WWE World Champion. Do WWE plan out these in advance, or is this just a complete coincidence? It'll be interesting to see how WrestleMania 40 goes off the air, and if the show ends with a talent such as Johnny Gargano or Chad Gable winning the world title gold, then questions will arise as to whether WWE have a concrete plan when it comes to their decade anniversary event. Number 5. The last matches of 2 legends. The passing of Eddie Guerrero in 2005 hit everyone hard. Guerrero was beloved by fans and his colleagues, and he is forever cemented as one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Guerrero would have his final ever match in November 2005 on SmackDown against Mr. Kennedy. In a bizarre coincidence, Kennedy also had the final match for another wrestling legend, this time with the former Intercontinental Champion Umaga. Kennedy wrestled Umaga in November of 2009 and the match took place on the Hulkamania tour, so unfortunately it wasn't televised. But it's quite strange that Mr. Kennedy would be the last opponent of each of these respective legends. Number 4. The Shield's Twist of Fate. Survivor Series 2012 is mostly known for the debut of The Shield. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose interfered in the main event WWE title match, and the rest they say is history. The Shield will become one of the most universally praised stables of the past 2 decades, and it's no surprise that all 3 men became elite main event level talents in their own right. The 2012 Survivor Series took place at the Bankers Life Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. What's interesting about this particular arena was that it was the exact same arena that the Shield would disintegrate in. On the June 2nd, 2014 edition of Raw, Rollins turned his back on the Shield teammates, and the fact that this took place in the exact same venue as the group made their initial debut was a huge coincidence. Now, it was believed to be a total coincidence, but this coincidence gets even crazier when the Shield reunited in 2017 on Raw. The reunion just so happened to take place in Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Once again, this arena had been the location for another one of the trio's pivotal moments. Number 3. Triple H's Quad Tear. Triple H tearing his quad live on Raw was a hard watch, but it was ultimately great to see a triumphant Triple H return on the January 7th, 2002 edition of Raw. And what is noteworthy about the date of the game's return was that 5 years later at the New Year's Revolution pay-per-view, the game once again suffered the exact same injury on his other leg. Triple H was teaming with Shawn Michaels against Rated RKO, and the game's injury should have sent the match into total chaos. Thankfully, the 3 other wrestlers in the ring managed to keep it together, and in particular, Shawn Michaels cemented himself as a ring general as he took control and called an audible to keep the match flowing as well as humanly possible. Number 2. The Royal Rumble runner-up. The Royal Rumble matches that took place between 2005 to 2010 all had something in common. Each of the respective matches, the runner-up of the match would still compete for the world title at WrestleMania. In 2005, John Cena was the runner-up and would ultimately face JBL for the title at WrestleMania 21. In 2006, Randy Orton was the runner-up and he would face Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio for the title at WrestleMania 22. In 2007, Shawn Michaels came up short, but he would still face John Cena for the title at WrestleMania 23. But it doesn't stop there. In 2008, Triple H was the runner-up but still competed for the title at WrestleMania 24. In 2009, Triple H yet again was the runner-up and actually managed to walk into WrestleMania 25 as defending champion. Finally, in 2010, John Cena was the runner-up and he would later challenge Batista for the WWE title at WrestleMania 26. In 2011, this coincidental Rumble placement trend would come to an end. As a runner-up in that match, Santino Marella would fail to compete for a world title at WrestleMania 27. And number 1, Kane's 7 years of bad luck. Kane's unmasking in 2003 was one of the most infamous moments in WWE history. What is particularly interesting about the episode of Raw that featured Kane unmasking was that shortly before he unmasked, Kane smashed a mirror backstage. Now there's a superstition surrounding a broken mirror that a person responsible for the mirror smashing will then have 7 years of bad luck. Weirdly, and by coincidence probably, this was actually the case for Kane as he was unable to win a world title for the next 7 years, but just a few weeks after the 7 years were up, Kane would win his second world title in WWE. The 2010 Money in the Bank pay-per-view would see Kane cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase on Rey Mysterio to finally win his second world title in WWE. How's that for a coincidence? But there you have it folks, 10 of the biggest coincidences in WWE. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.